Given that Canada is known for its high quality of life, I'm sure it comes as no surprise that some of its cities are quite pricey. These days, there are many Canadian cities where the average home costs $1 million or close to it. In this video, I'm listing Canada's top 12 most expensive cities based on their cost of living from December 2024. That includes expenses like rent or mortgage payments, groceries, childcare, education, healthcare, and entertainment. Let's get into it. 12. Hamilton, Ontario. Hamilton is a go-to spot for people who want something a bit more affordable than Toronto. As of November 2023, the average home in Hamilton cost about $872,520. It's part of the Golden Horseshoe, which is the most industrialized and populated region in Canada. Hamilton has a lot of waterfalls, which is why it's sometimes called the world's waterfall capital. These waterfalls draw in a lot of tourists each year, helping to keep the local tourism industry thriving. 11. Guelph, Ontario. Guelph is nestled between some of Ontario's biggest economic centres, like Toronto, Waterloo, and Hamilton. Because of its central location, you'd think a lot of people in Guelph would commute to these nearby cities for work, but actually, most people who live in Guelph work locally. In fact, according to the Bank of Montreal in 2019, Guelph was one of the easiest cities to find a job in. Smaller places like Guelph, which has a population of around 135,000, usually have lower property prices compared to bigger cities. But that's not necessarily true for Guelph. Here, the average family home costs close to $800,000. In November 2023, the average price for a house was $798,153. 10. Kamloops. Kamloops has a population of just over 97,000, making it the second biggest city in British Columbia's interior. The average home here costs about $652,096, which is a lot cheaper than many other places in British Columbia, especially the ones along the coast. People often call Kamloops the tournament capital of Canada because it hosts so many events each year. One of the highlights is the Kamloops Film Festival, which happens every March. 9. St. John's, Newfoundland, and Labrador. St. John's is the capital of Newfoundland and Labrador and one of the oldest cities in North America. It has some of the lowest real estate prices in Canada. A single-family detached home here averages around $275,984, which is much cheaper than in the top 3 cities on the list. With prices like that, you might wonder why St. John's is considered an expensive Canadian city. The reason is the higher cost of everyday living. For example, public transportation in St. John's is among the priciest in Canada. 8. Halifax, Nova Scotia. Halifax is the capital of Nova Scotia, and renting there is about 40% cheaper than in cities like Toronto or Vancouver. Buying a house is also more affordable, with the average price in November 2023 at $652,313. But prices have jumped quickly in the past few years. Just a year earlier, the average house was around $505,604. Halifax is a major business hub in Eastern Canada, with big sectors like healthcare, social services, trade, public administration, and education. The downside is that wages in Halifax are lower compared to other cities of a similar size, and taxes are a bit higher than average. 7. Nanaimo, British Columbia. Nanaimo is located on Vancouver Island. It has a population of about 90,000 and sits on the island's east coast. It's a great place to live, but that shows in the house prices. An average family home here cost $700,917 in November 2023. A lot of people in Nanaimo work in retail, accounting, and real estate, but the biggest employer is the healthcare system. The average income in Nanaimo is lower than in places like Victoria or Vancouver. However, among those 3 cities, Nanaimo has seen the most significant growth in median family employment income. 6. Edmonton, Alberta. Edmonton is Alberta's capital and has just under 1 million people living there. Many people in Edmonton work in the oil and gas industry, and job prospects in the city are generally good. It's one of the most expensive cities in Canada, mainly because of the higher-than-average cost of daily living. However, compared to other cities on the list of most expensive cities, buying a home in Edmonton is relatively affordable. Even though home prices are going up, you can still get an average family house for about $396,250. 5. Toronto, Ontario. Toronto is the largest metropolitan area in Canada, with over 6.2 million people in the Greater Toronto Area. The city keeps drawing in new residents because it offers plenty of job opportunities. It's a big center for both international and Canadian finance and business, and it's also very supportive of startups. House prices in Toronto are about on par with Vancouver, with the average home going for $134,615 as of November 2023. 4. Ottawa, Ontario. Ottawa is Canada's capital city. It's the fourth largest city in the country and the ninth most expensive. In November 2023, the average family home in Ottawa cost $635,574. As the city's population grows, the demand for homes is outpacing the supply, which is also why house prices are going up in many popular areas and cities across Canada. Since Ottawa is Canada's political center, the federal government is the largest employer. Other significant employment sectors in Ottawa are tourism, high-tech, and healthcare. 3. Calgary, Alberta. Calgary is the biggest city in Alberta and the third largest in Canada, with about 1.3 million people. The Economist has named Calgary one of the most livable cities in North America multiple times. While many Canadian cities are seeing a drop in house prices, Calgary's prices have actually gone up. In fact, they've risen by 10.2% compared to the previous year. As of November 2023, the average price for a single-family home was $540,106. That's about the same as Montreal, Canada's second-largest city, where the average home costs $516,000. 2. Victoria, British Columbia. The second British Columbia city on this list, and the second most expensive, is Victoria, the province's capital. The main reason Victoria is so pricey is because of the high cost of homes. As of November 2023, the average price for a single-family home in Victoria was $1,464,875. On the bright side, despite the steep property prices, Victoria has some of the lowest property taxes in Canada. Wages are also competitive. Being the provincial capital, there's a lot of government jobs available, but the real estate sector now employs more people in Victoria than any other industry. Vancouver, British Columbia. The most expensive city in Canada, according to the Cost of Living Index, December 2023, is Vancouver. It's the largest city in British Columbia, and the Greater Vancouver area has 2.6 million people, making it the third largest metro area in Canada after Toronto and Montreal. Vancouver's housing market is on fire, with the average home price at $196,500 in October 2023. Hot properties get snatched up quickly. The median number of days a house stays on the market is just 15 days. Everyday living expenses are also high, but average incomes are also pretty good. Job prospects in Vancouver are promising, with a low unemployment rate of just 5.8% in November 2023. So whether you're looking to relocate to Canada or just visit as a tourist, I hope this list helps you get an idea of how deep into your wallet you're willing to go during your time here. If so, I'd really appreciate if you like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this.